Good morning and welcome to Price Plan Profit. This is Melissa, and it is Thursday, meaning I am going to record a live chart and just go over what I will be watching to day trade today, Thursday, June the 12th, 2025. The process is the same every day. I start off by looking at the overall markets via the ES futures to see what the sentiment is for that day going into the morning pre-bell. We can see that ES has pulled back 35, 36 points. So obviously by the candle colors, I can see that the sentiment is to the downside right now. So, the first question I ask myself and I look at on my charts is where is the buy zone on ES? How many more points would I be looking for price to fall before ES hits a level that I would be interested in buying that dip? And for me, that is 59.67 and a half by 59.2875. So I can see by that that the ES has another potential 25, 26 points to the downside before it would be at an area that I would be looking to buy the dip. All right. So after I look at that, then of course I need to know, is there any economic data due out today that could affect price action? I use Forex Factory, their calendar, because it shows me the US events as well as the other countries' events. And I like the color coding here. The red folders mean that there is a potential for a high impact in price action when this data releases. The orange folders suggest a medium impact, and the yellow folders suggest a low impact. So I can see for today in about 30 minutes, the PPI reports are going to come out as well as unemployment claims. So, with that being said, such a high impact potential, I know that any charts that I focus on, there could be corrections that I need to make as far as my buy and sell zones, and then, of course, my targets as well, trims along the way. So I need to keep that in mind that in about 30 minutes, this data is going to release. After that, I want to know, okay, I know that ES is pulling back. We're showing some weakness this morning before the bell. What sectors in the market are holding up the best and which ones are really getting hit? And I can see by looking at this list of sectors that I pay attention to that gold and gold miners are doing well, which doesn't surprise me as the risk off environment when price is pulling back in the major names, especially the Mag 7s, oftentimes gold miners, and even bonds will be outperforming. And you can see that those are the green numbers here on the chart. So, not surprising, nothing standing out there. You got some defensive sectors such as consumer staples, they are flat, whereas ES and NQ are down this morning. Insurance, that's also flat, which that is another more defensive type of sector. Real estate is down a little, and utilities are down a little. So, with that being said, what is really getting hit? Semiconductors is really getting hit. They are down over 1%, as is IWM. Your small caps is getting hit as well. Beyond that, I can see that industrials is taking a hit this morning, and then consumer discretionary names like Tesla and Amazon, they are also taking a hit. So now I want to look at my normal day trading watch list and see on this chart the overall sentiment is down 36 points. What is outperforming? Of course, gold, which we already talked about in the sector analysis. Apple is outperforming. It is actually green today, whereas the Nasdaq's down 0.62 and the ES is down 0.58. So that's interesting, but Apple has been lagging behind everyone else. But I am surprised to see that it is green today. I can take a look at that chart just because it is outperforming. And if the market sentiment turns around, it could potentially do better or overperform. So, is Apple near a buy zone for me? It is close. 197.85 by 193.13 is that buy zone. I do have a trendy edge here in the middle of that zone at 195.65. So, Apple has another couple dollar or a dollar to fall into my buy zone. So I will keep an eye on this one this morning. Maybe the 8:30 economic data catalyst will push price into this zone, making it even more interesting. So I'm going to keep scanning down here. I can see that BA is hit really hard, down 6.5% due to the news of a plane crash tragically in India. So they are pulling back. That is also pulled GE back. It's down almost 4% um, on, so showing weakness there more so than the rest of the market. TEM is also down quite a bit, as is Tesla. Um, so let's look at where first the outperformers are. Gold is outperforming the market. It is up. Some buy and sell zones for me on gold. The buy zone's down here at 306.85 by 303.59. The sell zone 316 basically to 322. So what do I do with price right there in the middle? I like to use the indicator that we sell in the trendy script bundle. It's called the PMZ or pre-market zone. It gives me a over and an under, or a PMZ high, which would be a trigger long, and a PMZ low, which would be a trigger short. Right now, and these values can change, above 311.57, that's your trigger long, and below 311.38 is a trigger short. So, what could I potentially target above 311.57 would be 312.92, and then, of course, my sell zone up there at 316. So, I have a good profit potential to the upside above my trigger long of about a $1.20, $1.25 here. My risk, it says 19 using the PMZ. I prefer a 50-cent risk. So I would use a 50-cent risk. That tells me that I would have a risk of about 50 cents and a reward of about $1.25. So it does fit my risk to reward criteria for a day trade. So gold will be a name that I will be watching. And like I said, I prefer a 50-cent risk. If I go down and use this pre-market low here that occurred at 7:35 Eastern, that gives me a stop of 310.80. Now, if I'm going long here at 311.57 and I have a stop at 310.80. That's 75 cents of risk and again $1.25, $1.30 of reward. Not as good as just the straight up 50-cent risk, but I don't want to cap my risk at 50 cents when I do have this swing low here, and you can see that buyers stepped up in this area. So I will use that risk, or 310.80 right now would be my stop on this trade, trimming at 312.92 and targeting 316 to 322. If the downside sets up below that PMZ low of 311.38, then what I'm using as my stop for an upside, this is obviously support to the downside, 310.80. So that is about 50 cents below this PMZ low. Not a great reward on that first target, but below there, 310.22, 309.18, 308.35, 307.51, and then my target zone for a downside trade would be 306.85 by 303.59. If we see some rotation in the market, some strength in ES and NQ, and gold pulls back, gets below that PMZ low, there is some good levels to the downside that I could potentially play gold to the downside here. So gold is one that I will watch this morning. Apple, again, I have some room to play it to the upside, but not as much room to play it to the downside because my target for a buy zone, which would be my target if I'm playing it short, is 197.85. That is about $1 below where my PMZ is currently printing. So a dollar reward to my ultimate target down there. But this zone is wide enough that I do have some levels to play it down. Above 198.91 is a trigger long there. 199.10, I have a trendy edge and a inside and down candle formation there. 191.10 is not very far, about 19 cents above my trigger long. So what I like to do is wait for price to get above this level and show me that it can break out above there. Then I'm targeting 199.85, 200.74, 201.46, 202.17, and then ultimately basically 203 to 206. All right, so that is Apple, which is outperforming the market. And if the market starts showing some strength and turns around, then maybe Apple will lead the way and continue outperforming. You never know, so I need to know where I would both go long and go short for day trades. And again, I'm going to use those PMZ levels there. Outside of Apple and gold, what else I would like to watch today is these names with the larger pullback. And so TEM here, I want to see where my zones are and my risk to reward on this name. My target zone to the upside is 70.92 by 73.28. My target zone to the downside is 61.91 to 57.38. So I can see I got some good potential reward to the downside. The upside, a couple of dollars, $2 to $3 to the upside. Not bad, but not as good as potential reward to the downside. Now, I do need to keep in mind this name is very bullish, And this golden pocket here at 65.94 by 64.21 could be a place that buyers show up. So PMZ high 68.61, PMZ low 68.50. That's a risk of 11 cents. I'm going to use that 50-cent risk, so at least 50-cent risk. So I'm going to use 67.67 for a stop if I go long above 68.61. And then for a stop, if I go short below 68.50, I would use this 69.35. Targets to the upside would be 69.35 and then 70.92 by 73.28. Targets to the downside, if I go short below 68.50, would be 67.67, 65.94, 64.21, and then the ultimate target down here at 61.91 by 57.38. So, those are the names that I will be watching this morning for potential day trades. Of course, I'm always interested in trading SPY or QQQ for a day trade, and I will share those target zones for me. The ultimate target zones here for SPY would be 603 to 606 to the upside. Downside 595 to 591. As far as QQQ goes, upside target is going to be 534 to 537. Downside target 526.57 to 522. All right. I hope y'all have a great day of trading today. As always, remember the risk is the most important part of being a consistent and disciplined trader. Only risk what you can afford to lose to keep your mental game sharp. All right. I hope you have a great day trading, and I will see you in the next video.